Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today, LTCN and BCHG just keep on pumping. Let's get it. So the first chart we're going to go over is LTCN. As you guys can see on the weekly, we're already up pretty massive. I think it was, so earlier this morning it was looking a little iffy, but then we got that big pump. So that's definitely a good sign, I would say. What's interesting about this, before I get too deep into this, is you guys can see the native cryptocurrency market has gotten absolutely smashed today. Why is that? Because stocks were getting smashed. As you guys can see, you just take a brief look at our entire watch list. You can see there's a lot more red than green, especially with the crypto related stuff. So a lot of brutal beatdowns in the markets. My guess is, I don't know exactly what happened, but my guess is there was probably some kind of news catalyst that sent the markets lower, and that's probably what happened. What happened as a result of investor sentiment. People were probably freaking out about something they saw that they didn't like, and markets tend to overreact a lot. So that's probably what that's about. But anyways. Fortunately for us, LTCN and BCHG were up massively today. Even a lot of these grayscale trusts were also down quite a bit. So some dip buying opportunities there. And going back over to the the grayscale crypto portfolio here, you guys can see we are up massively. So we're up 385% in total on BCHG, almost 250% on LTCN. And a total return of plus 243%. So that's quite a bit, actually. As for today alone, we're up 17% on BCHG. This is a huge amount. This is over $1,300 just on the day. Massive increase. LTCN also a huge increase, nearly 20%, pushing almost $3,000 on this one. And a total return just on the day alone, just today, okay? I want you guys to keep in mind how powerful this is. In just one day, we saw a 15% increase on just two of the positions that we hold in grayscale. The S&P 500 generally year over year, over like a 50-year time frame, only returns 10% every single year. So this is outperforming the S&P, what the S&P would normally do in a year, in one single day. Okay. Powerful stuff. This is the reason why we're such big fans of crypto when we buy crypto, because these moves are absolutely bonkers. I mean, you can make a lot of money if you know what you're doing. So plus 15% here, as you guys can see, that increased our portfolio, the overall unrealized profit we have here by nearly 20%. Based on a bird's eye view here. So no intention to sell just yet. We'll get into what the potential numbers could be, but if we know about Cesar Gets Crypto, okay, we've seen some of his videos and stuff like that, but if his predictions about LTCN and BCHG are true, that they're going to get, like, LTCN is going to hit like 2,500 and BCHG is going to hit 1,000 or 2,000 or some, we'll just say 1,000, okay? Because 1,000 is already pretty rich. I mean, that'd be a 250x our money, as you guys can see. This portfolio by itself probably will be worth over 7 figures, most likely. So anyways, so we'll get into LTCN to start. So something I want to point out to you guys kind of more or less know how our strategy goes for swing trading. So generally speaking, we wait for some kind of golden cross. So I just wanted to show you guys that. So the golden cross would have been like right around here somewhere. I'd say probably right around here, $10.75 a share. If we were looking to swing trade this and that's all we were doing, we would have just simply held it from that point. It's about the $10 range all the way up to here. If this was a swing trade, okay, not an investment, if it was a swing trade, we'd already be up 340%. So the 4 hourly is looking very good. As you guys can see, we kind of gapped up there and it just took off. It didn't really hesitate that much. So that's a good sign. Very strong bullish trend we got going. The daily is obviously very bullish. We take a look at the daily here. So just on the daily from the open to the close, we're up about 10%. That's a pretty good increase for a single day. Again, that's generally what the S&P does over a year. And on the weekly, we're obviously looking even better. So the only thing I want to point out is that we need to get over this control bar here, this large red candle. If we can get over this control bar, which is, of course, at a major psychological resistance level, $50. Even numbers are generally, a lot of traders keep that in mind, 50, 70, 100, 200, something like that. Like 70,000 was a big one for Bitcoin, right? So this is something very similar. If we can get over that, we're pretty much going to launch. I'm convinced we're going to launch straight up to somewhere between 75 to 135 bucks. Now, as to where this could pull back to, if it does pull back, which at this point I'm thinking it's probably not going to, it's going to come back into the zone here. So pretty large drop, as you guys can see, about 40 to 50%. This support zone is between 23 to about 26 and a half bucks. I did tell you guys before we got out of this zone that if we manage to break the zone, we'll go up to 75, but that's where the zone is going to be. And of course, you guys know in previous videos, this was resistance, so there's that. Now, from the current price to the resistance between 100 and 135, you're looking at about 108% to 186%. However, if you get the pullback, which is possible, it could happen. I would say it's not likely at this point, but it could happen, about 290% to almost 434%. But do understand, if we do get some kind of pullback like that, it's probably going to be very short-lived. We might only maybe even get a wick down to that support and then just shoot straight back up. That's possible. So BCHG, this one looks even more bullish than LTCN. I suspect LTCN probably still has its biggest moves yet to come. So we still are in this resistance. Keep in mind we have 4 more trading days. So one of two things are going to happen here. One of three things. We're either going to get rejected, go back down to support, which is between 10, 25 to about 13 bucks. Or we're going to stay in this support or resistance, test it a little bit, kind of bob around, and then bust out of there. So current resistance is 18 to about $20. Or, well, actually, I suppose there's 4 scenarios. So we could break out of here, retest the support, and then move higher, or just simply break out and just smash straight up. Crypto is notorious for destroying resistance and support zones like it's not even there. As you guys can see on this support zone right here, this candle just rocketed straight through and went straight up to the next level. It didn't even care. So keep all those things in mind. So the pullback from where we are right now to the bottom of the zone would be about 8%. If we pull back into the previous zone, it'd be about 35 to 45%. Pretty good dip buying opportunity there. So we'll just base profit targets on 2 scenarios. So if we get a pullback into support, you'd be looking at somewhere around 57 to 78%. If we do not get a pullback into support and this thing just smashes straight through resistance, which, honestly wouldn't surprise me at this point, the next level is going to be somewhere in this range of about $43. So 120% all the way up to the peak here, about 208%. I'm actually going to draw a zone in right now for that because there's a possibility BCHG could bust through this current $20 level any day now. So that's BCHG. HZEN, this thing did get a slight pullback. As you guys can see, we have not had a confirmed move one way or another out of this flag pattern yet. The target's still 14.5 bucks, so it's above this resistance zone. So we're currently sitting at support. This is a pretty good buy right now, in my opinion. So $6.75 to about $8. We're still sitting in that box. That's generally the best time to buy is when it's in the support zone. If you're just looking for position or swing trading, that's generally how that works. So resistance is between 1140 to about 1240. If we take the measured move from the current zone, you're looking at about 50 to 60%. ETCG, this is another one that we're actually considering buying starting again this week. When it comes to crypto, us personally, we try to be fluid with the markets. So if the markets, if crypto is going to the moon and is just not stopping and it's just printing tendies left and right, we'll generally move the money that we put in the markets over into something like options, swing trades, and dividends. And if crypto is going down and stocks are going down, we'll put like half in traditional markets, half in crypto, something like that. So we're never really set in stone with how we see these things. But I say this to basically say that we may end up buying some more HZEN and ETCG in the coming days, starting tomorrow immediately. if we continue to see pullbacks like these. So as of right now, ETCG is between 13 to 1580 on that resistance. That's pretty much where the price is sitting now. Or sorry, support. So resistance 1780 to about $20. Now for the measured move from where it is right now to the next level is about 12 to 27%. So a pretty decent move there, I would say. It could happen in a single day. It could take a week. It's hard to say, but anything is possible at this point. So GXLM does look like it wants to break out of that flag, but we're not getting like the full on confirmed move yet. Just actually going to move that up since it kind of looks like it had a fake out that might not have been the actual pattern there. So target still remains the same, roughly about $90. That's within that resistance zone. It lines up perfectly. So current support is right around where the price is, 53.20 to about 58.50. 74 to 95 is going to be your resistance. So this thing's pretty much as close to the buy zone as it possibly is going to get. It could come down lower. That's a possibility. Keep that in mind. So you're looking at about 22% all the way up to roughly about 57, 58% on that move. ETH-E, I think we still have the Fibonacci's from the previous video talking about the targets, but so still a possibility for a cup and handle pattern here. As you guys can see the cup, and then this would be the handle, but we don't yet know if that's going to play out or not. The target for that would be above the resistance at $53.50. This is currently within the buy zone, so from my perspective, it does look like a good deal. The EMAs are sitting below that and that zone also as support and these candle tops. So a lot of bullish confluence for holding that level right there. So the current zone, $25 to about $29, and resistance is $40.50 to about just shy of $48. So if we get the measured move here, it's 61 to about, I'd say about 85%. So Zcash, this one is interesting. So we haven't had a breakout of the current resistance yet, but it looks like this candle might come back and test it and then pop off to the upside. It's difficult to say at this point, so neither bullish nor bearish. We'll just say that this is support since it's kind of sitting up there looking like it wants to break out, but we don't know yet. So that's $7.40 to $8. Support below that is $4.40 to about $5.15. And resistance above that level is going to be $14 to about $17. So this could potentially be a great buy right now if this zone holds as support. If it does, the move up would be, let's see, 80% all the way up to about 124, 125%. But if this does not hold and it pulls back, it could pull back into the EMAs. I'd probably say somewhere around that zone is where it's going to stop. So about 40% down. You could just, hypothetically, you could pick up a position at the zone and then just DCA as it comes down. That's a possibility as a way to reduce your cost basis. That's what a lot of options traders will do. If they like for us, for example, I'll use us as an example. Okay, so we have a cash secured put with a strike price at $23.50. The current price is at like 19, which is yikes. Kind of wasn't thinking that was going to happen, but it is what it is. Sometimes that just happens. So we collect the shares, right? And then what we could do is we could buy shares directly off the market. So we don't have to buy lots of 100. We could just buy a few shares here or there directly off the market at the current market price, which is about $19, which then reduces the overall cost basis, with the anticipation that at some point the shares will skyrocket again and we'll make even more money in the process. So that's what I like to refer to as the DCA down strategy. So GSOL, this one looks like kind of like a flag pattern, but we don't really have a pole to measure it. So it's hard to say whether this is where the target's going to be or whether it's going to break up or down. I would still say a good entry is somewhere between that, I'd say roughly about 180 to 230 level, roughly around the top of those candles there. So from that point to the top would be roughly around 200%. And just keep in mind, if this thing does drop down to that area, it's going to be a pretty nasty drop. It's going to be about 45%. So Mana, this one's looking very bullish. It looks like it wants to break out. But again, we're not at the end of the trading week, so we don't yet know if this is the confirmed breakout or not. If we go ahead and give the measured move here, so basically just the bottom of the triangle here to the top, you'd be looking just shy above the all-time highs, so about 79 bucks. I wouldn't be buying up here based on a breakout. If I was going to swing trade this, I'd put a stop somewhere probably below this green candle right here is where I'd have it, or maybe below this wick or something like that. But I wouldn't, be trying to position into this thing at these levels way up here. So somewhere between the zone and this wick here, about 20.50 to 26.5 bucks would be a good entry in my opinion. The top is at 71 or $70 even. I mean. So from that entry to the wick top up there, you're looking at about 209%. GBAT, this thing is still just very all over the place. It's starting to look a little bearish, but we'll have to wait and see on this one. So I would say a good buy zone is going to be somewhere between about $9.50 a share to maybe at the bottom of this wick, about $12. Just so you all know, that's a pretty large pullback. You're talking roughly about 50%. Is this possible? Yes, it is. I mean, Bitcoin again on the monthly time frame, on the EMAs on the monthly time frame, the bottom EMA for Bitcoin is at almost $30,000. So that's like a 60% drop. Definitely keep that in mind. But from that ideal entry point to the top here, you're looking at, I'd say, roughly about 230%. So GXLM, this one, G-Link, very similar to the previous one, GBAT, just kind of all over the place. We don't know what it's going to do yet. I would say getting in at the zone somewhere in there is probably a good entry. So 66 to about 84. If you waited to get in at the buy zone, you're basically de-risking a little bit. So if it goes lower than the zone, you're not going to suffer as much of a drawdown. That's part of the reason why I generally present this in this way to you guys. So from that zone to the top of the move here, going to be roughly about 200%. So pretty solid gain on that one. Phil G looks like it might be having a bounce. Again, I'd be waiting to get in on the dip on this one. So somewhere between the top of these candles right here, about 83 bucks to about 116. I would not bet the farm at those levels. I would just be looking to start getting in. But the move would be about 320%. So GLIV, this one is very similar to the other chart, just not really very predictable with all this crazy wick action, whipsaw going on here. So I would say the top of these candles right here, about 26 bucks to the bottom of these wicks. So about 26, 28 bucks is probably a good point to start looking to get in. From those levels, if you're patient enough and waiting to get in at these wick tops, you'd be at nearly a 200% gain. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.